Hello, everyone, and welcome to Multiplane Podcast. I'm Val.
I'm Ty.
And we have a
And
guest
I'm Jacob.
today. Jacob is our guest today. And we have not done this in a while. It's been a minute. It's been a few months since we've talked about anything, and we're going to get better at that. So we appreciate everybody for being patient. And today is kind of we've got a show from both ends today. We couldn't be talking about two more different topics today. We are going to jump into something Ty has been wanting to talk about for a while, and that's the Swiss Family Robinson, both the movie from the 1960s and what's going on with the parks. And then we're going to talk about the new Disney Plus Marvel series called MPower.
So, yeah, we got a big gap. Classic Disney versus new Marvel content. But so first off, I tried watching the old one that Disney has, the RKO version, black and white. And I couldn't get through it.
They do have the regular version on there, though, the 1960 version.
Oh, yeah, no.
But you tried to go all the way back.
I tried to go all the way back to the 1941, spent about 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I can't handle this. And so I'm like, we're going to the 1960 version, which is better.
The one thing that I love about the 1960 version, well, there's a few things, and we'll get into what we all love and not love about it. But that time in filmmaking, there was so much practical effects, practical effects that were happening. And so now that I'm older, because I haven't watched this movie probably in 20 years, but then before I watched it then, it had been like when I was a little kid, right? And so I didn't know what I know about filmmaking now. And so I know the parts, and yeah, we're going to jump into it. So if you don't want to know the magic behind the magic, walk away. No. But the parts, even at the beginning, the opening, when they've got the boats in the water, and I know how they shot that because I've been to the set where they've got the big pool on the back lot, and they've got the screens all the way around it, and you've got the wind machines, and you've got a boat out there, and everything's moving. And then, but with Disney in this movie, they have the practical, but then they have the layover, which I love how they do both practical and layover, because they didn't have the graphics that we're going to talk about in MPower. They didn't have those special effects back then. And sometimes I kind of prefer the practical effects.
Well, yeah, you know me, I'm going to say practical effects too. Anytime coming from the makeup artist. But one of the funniest effects in this movie that I laugh at, and I don't laugh because it's funny, I laugh because of how cheesy and old it is when the pirates are attacking at the very end and they're fighting at the top of the hill. You see one of the pirates get hit and he falls down into a bush. And it's like a split 3 seconds that you see him hit this bush, and he must have had a flat mat that he was landing in. But then you see this fake dummy pirate drop out and just roll down the hill. And I'm like, man, 3 second delay of falling through the bush. So there's a lot of, cheesy stuff like that.
Well, I remember this show from when I was younger, and it was because when you first see it, it's everything you wish as a kid. And I grew up with a big backyard, but you see he's riding dogs, he's riding turtles, they're riding zebras, they're riding ostriches, they're digging holes and catching tigers. This is honestly, this was my favorite Disney movie because of all those things, all the dreams and stuff I had of stuff I wanted to do when I was a little kid. And so I love this movie. And I had an opportunity I actually went and watched the making of it. And so it's pretty crazy the stuff they did. They were in Tobago. It's off the coast of Trinidad.
Yeah,
is where they went, which was kind of crazy back then. It seems like, but
yeah,
I can't stand the younger brother. I'm sorry, like
yeah.
That's what makes
he
it
was
hardest.
he was the younger brother in everything back then. Like the cast in this movie you saw these kids everywhere. They were in every kids movie, every Disney movie, every family movie, every TV show. And speaking of kids, this is one of the movies that Disney Plus has put that 12-second non-skippable warning before. So when you watch it on Disney Plus, it is going to have an advisory. It's this one, Peter Pan, the Aristocats, The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, Dumbo, Aladdin, Fantasia, and then this one. And actually, I still think they did this back in 2021, and I don't think they've changed it. I haven't tested it because I don't have kids, but I'm pretty sure that if you have your account and
The
then
underage
child's
profile.
account, and if you have a child's account, they actually can't watch this movie on their own. So this is something you're going to have to pull up, watch it with them. And their comment was, this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and they're wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact and learn from it. And I think that's great, because I think we've talked about this on the show before, Ty, is we don't want them to get rid of the content.
Yeah.
We understand that things made in the 1920s, made in the 1960s, made in the 1990s are different than are made now, but that doesn't mean that we should bury it and hide it. If anything, that means sit down with your kids, watch this movie, and talk about the things that are really good. Like, look, those kids are playing outside. They're playing in dirt. They're playing with animals. They're playing with each other. Those are all good things. See those pirates? See the let's talk about the wrongful depiction of things, but then let's talk about the good things, and then have like a good conversation about the differences. But it doesn't mean that you have to throw this movie away, because there are so many good things about this movie.
It's definitely an era film. Like, it's a film of the time, like you said, when that troupe, and I wanted to say it comes together in the group of films that were made during that era. Like, if I were to bring up some other movies, if I was going to watch a troupe of them,
that those same actors were in every single one.
Yeah. So it goes along the lines of Blackbeard's Ghost, Treasure Island, 20,000 Leagues,
Old Yeller.
There's a lot. I'm trying to think of any other ones that were in this similar block. But no, the thing that I loved about this, so I didn't find Swiss Family Robinson until I started dating my wife. So I hadn't even watched it from a young age. Her family was into classic Disney live action. And this was when she's like, oh my gosh, Swiss Family Robinson is one of my all-time favorites. And I'm like, what is the Swiss Family Robinson? But this is one that I really...
baby, Ty.
I know. But I'm like, this is one I enjoyed it. One, because I was the kid who was trying to find the next tree to go build some kind of platform in a tree house. And so you telling me that there's an entire tree house built out of a busted down ship, I'm all for it.
Well, that being said, when I was younger, because I'm way older than both of you, and we went to Disneyland, and we didn't go a ton when I was a kid, but the few times that we went, our favorite thing was to go to the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse, and then to get on the boat and go across to the island and run around through the caves and up the hills and swing on the, everything. It was those discovery, because we did like those troops of movies that you just talked about. We loved all of that. And that's when, Disney would be, have their Disney movie that would be on once a week. And it would be these movies that we would sit down and watch as a family and watch as kids. And then we'd go out in the backyard and pretend that we were doing all of these things. And, I think I watch a lot of movies, and sometimes when we go back and we watch these period pieces from the specific time, they don't always hold my attention again. They don't always make it, but this was so much fun to watch again, because I think the timing is really good. Like, the pacing of the movie is still really on point. I also think it just makes you feel good as a person.
It does.
It gives you the good feels.
Well, this one is I like to tell people, if you're ever driving to the parks for your family vacation, you have to go, hours and hours, and you want to elevate that experience and then build a Disney playlist of stuff to watch on your way to the parks. I don't know if I would add Swiss Family Robinson to my current list, but back, like you said, when we had the treehouse that was in their style, and luckily I got to see it before they took that down. I've never been to Florida, which Jake told me Florida, Theirs is still Swiss Family Robinson.
And it's a little bit bigger than the one at Disneyland.
So this one I would add to my classic view list, whatever, if I was heading back to Disney back in the 1990s, early 2000s.
And I do want to say we're live right now. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. If you do catch this later, we still would love your comments, even if it's not live. But if you have any memories or experiences about Swiss Family Robinson, either the movie or I don't want to say it's a ride, it's an attraction, but it's an experience. And of course now, it changed into Tarzan. But Ty, where is it going next? Because it's been under construction at Disneyland for a while. It still says, at least the last time I was there, it still is under construction, and it didn't say a different name on it.
So I think on our last show is when they had barely made the announcement that they were turning it into the Adventureland Treehouse.
Yeah.
Which is going to be aimed more towards what Walt originally wanted it to be. Because he had this idea and concept of what he wanted it to look like and the feel of it. But then I think we had the Swiss Family Robinson film come out, and it was so successful and it had that adventure vibe to it that they wanted to incorporate that into the park. So and Jake actually, yeah.
Have you guys, I'm trying to remember the event it was, but it was like last week, and they started pulling out. I don't know if you've seen the like robot bunny that rolls out and can stand up. So in that same event, they had Tinkerbell that was interactive. And I guess during Touch of Disney, we went to Touch of Disney, which was during COVID. It was really, it was awesome because you could experience Disney, but all of the roller coasters were running, but they were running empty. Nobody could ride the rides. So you're basically wandering around kind of a ghost town Disneyland. And it was a special event.
Favorite.
It was awesome to hear them because we'd also been to downtown Disney a whole bunch and you couldn't hear all the sounds of Disneyland. It was a little bit eerie. But in the Blue Sky Cellar, if you happen to be grabbed by a cast member, they would take you in, and there was an interactive, almost like a Crush. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the Turtle Talk.
Yeah, Turtle Talk with Crush. It was an interactive with Tinkerbell, and she'd actually go and hit things in the room and make things move, and then she'd come and land in the lantern, and she would actually talk back and forth. But it was a one-on-one experience, and I guess they pulled this out again for this event, and I'm hoping that she makes an appearance in the treehouse. It seems like they're keeping it more generic, like less IP. They're not tying it to Swiss Family Robinson. They're not tying it to a specific thing so that they can bring in stuff. Because there was also rumors of it being part of maybe Encanto or, Zootopia, maybe. That was like one that lasted about 2 seconds. But, people thought, okay, they're going to try and attach an IP to it. But if they keep it generic, they could put Tinkerbell in there. They could do all sorts of stuff.
Which they would have to be like with the timing of Tinkerbell, just because she also has the thing at her own tree. But it would be really cool if she was back and forth between the treehouse and the tree. But I do remember that they had something. Remember where they have the Marvel? So it's inside. Oh my gosh. They used to have that Tinkerbell thing, and it was in a room when they used to have like all of what the futuristic rooms and houses would be.
The big.
Yeah.
It's
over where the Marvel. It's over where they have like the Star Wars. You go.
Yeah.
And you're gonna. The Star Wars thing is over there now.
It's Innovations, but I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Innovations, but it was like there was a room, and you could go into the bedroom, and it was one of my daughter's favorite things to do. We would go into the bedroom, and then you would start a thing, and then she would move around, and then things would go on the wall, and the lights would turn on, and all of this stuff. So it sounds like they kind of used that in that situation, and I think that would be really cool because there was a lot of cool innovations over in the innovation area that they don't use anymore. But we definitely need to upgrade that area a little bit, I think.
So that's an option because I don't know. I don't think they'll just leave it blank. I think they're leaving them options open to theme it to different things. I asked Ty earlier this week if he knew what the Society of Explorers and Adventures is. I know that's kind of a theoretic thing, and he'd never heard of it. But it would be awesome. There's a lot of things they could do that would be awesome. Val, do you know what that is?
I've heard of it before. And I know that if you bring it, is this the same one that if you bring it up, I was talking to my friend John about it, that there are like special tokens that you get if you know about it, and if you know where the things are happening because he has a token that says that on it.
He has 1 million.
So there's things like that, and then but it connects a whole bunch of Disney rides. It's like the Marvel Universe, but behind the Disney rides. Like, it goes pretty deep, and I'm really hoping, because I hear a rumor that Ryan Reynolds is with somebody else, and they're actually going to make a movie. I hope it's not animated, but like, I don't know if you guys want me to go off this tangent.
Yeah,
but it would be.
We're all about tangents here.
So so Albert Schweitzer Falls was a member.
Okay.
Another member was a guy, I'm trying to remember his name, but he's actually the theme of the Tower and Terror in Japan because they had to create a different story. It's actually Joe Rohde, but is the character. He posed for the character, but he's in it. And one of his relatives is one of the husbands of Constance Hatchaway.
Okay, yeah.
And then Indiana Jones and the Hangar restaurant in Florida is also part, and you can see clues of the society in Florida. And so there's just these seeds of a ton of different things that they could do, and even tied into Swiss Family Robinson. Like, let's say they could do it all sorts of different ways, like the dad. And the mom and dad in that movie was weird because it's father and mother. They don't ever have names.
Yeah.
But if dad was, or father was, a member of that society or something like that, I just see potential for a cool movie. They could even tie it into Jungle Cruise because it was a secret society, but it was for exploration and preservation of historical artifacts, kind of Indiana Jones type stuff. But it goes clear back into the 1500s. But like let's say after the Jungle Cruise movie, the new one. I don't know what you guys thought about that one. I really liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable.
But is she?
Ty hates anything fun, so
really. Well, she wasn't allowed to go into that society, right? She was kind of kicked out because she was a woman. Yeah. And from very early in the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, women were allowed in. So it'd be interesting. They could even take that twist and have somebody from C, they call it, SEA, approach her, Emily Blunt's character, and go, hey, this is something amazing you did. And then just start a whole new. Anyway, it seems like a really good opportunity. And I'm really wanting to go explore this treehouse, the new version, because I'm looking for Easter eggs and things like that.
Snippets here and there.
Yeah, because if you go and research it, they're in all the parks around the world, in all these little small places. It'd be really cool if they use this as a tie-in.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing homework on.
It's good. It's good.
And I do think that would be a chance to also tie in the Pixar, to tie in Up to that, because I think that would fit very well. Yeah. And as I'm rewatching the movie, there's a bird in there that is totally Kevin. I saw Kevin in the Swiss Family Robinson as the boys, because we didn't know she was a girl yet, right? Uh-huh. Is sliding down and they have to go across the water. Right as they're sliding down, before they you have to take off your clothes and then go across. There's a bird in the water, and I'm like, Kevin!
That's Kevin.
Totally Kevin.
It could be awesome. It could be awesome and then I just rewatched the trailer for Haunted Mansion, the new one, the new teaser, and I'm looking at all the things. I'm like, okay, this could even a twist of this, because that's already tied into Haunted Mansion. They could totally stitch all of these movies together and start to go even like, okay, now we're gonna go back from, I don't know. My mind goes crazy at all the cool stories and things and relationships between people that they could tie together. That's the whole stitching together of all the Disney rides that they don't have an IP.
Yeah.
But
that'd be cool.
It'd be really, really cool.
So I'm 50-50 on the new design. I guess when it opens up, I'll give my full judgment, but me and my 6-year-old, we're pretty tore up that it's not Tarzan's treehouse anymore. Because like you said, Val, so my oldest, she loves to run around, loves to get out. And so these experiences where, it's not an attraction that you sit in, you have moving components and things, you can go actually explore and see things like Pirates Cove, the treehouse. She loved Tarzan's treehouse, and she loves the animals. So like seeing Sapor in there and some of the drawings of the apes and the different elements, she's really tore up about this. How are you guys optimistic, or are you a little bit more not with the new? Actually, obviously, Jake, you're with it because you want to see all these new things tied in.
And I think if you go along with what Jake is predicting and kind of what my thoughts are with it is that if it's this adventure area, like you said, like they just gave it the most generic name. And if they tie in all of the movies that are these outdoor adventure movies, you can have a little Tarzan in there still. You can have a little Swiss Family Robinson. Maybe as you're going through the treehouse, you get to see all of the different adventures that Disney movies have brought us. So maybe you still get to see some of those things everywhere throughout this treehouse. I think for me, Tarzan is one of my favorite movies, and I think it made such an impact when it came out that the fact that that's all they have in the park for Tarzan, and now it would be totally gone. I don't see them taking it all away. And in the area that it's in, with all of those other rides, like for me, I would love it if they still had some of those little Easter eggs of you walk through the, oh, look, there's this
Jane's
from this
Diary,
movie and that
and
from
there's-
that
yeah.
movie. And here's this. And it's because it's all about creating the memories that you have from the movies, creating memories in the park. And if they can intertwine those things, which they're usually pretty good at, I think it would be really, really cool, because then that also causes that nostalgia from every generation. So if they had a little bit from each movie that we love, and they don't really have anything from Aladdin anymore over there, which they
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
got rid of that one small area that you never saw them. You knew they
The
were coming at
Oasis.
some point,
Yeah.
to the Oasis, but it's gone now. So
My brain is just tripping on SEA because now I'm thinking like, who was Tarzan's dad? with his killer mustache? What if that is the tie-in and Tarzan is like the main part of that?
Yeah.
No.
So I think it would, just like Jacob said, like I think it would be a mistake for them to take all of our memories out of that house.
100%.
So I don't think you should be too disappointed, because I think there's going to be something magical in there, or more than one something's magical in there.
And if you've been there, don't ever skip it. Like if you guys are thinking, I know it's not a ride, but go up in there and stop and look out at Disneyland.
Yeah.
The views from the treehouse are crazy. You're looking like across, you can see like the Mark Twain, and then you'll see Thunder Mountain, the views and stuff. I've taken so many pictures just standing up in Tarzan's treehouse or the Swiss Family treehouse because of how epic they look from up there. You get to look down on Disneyland, which there's really not a lot of places to be looking down because they don't really want to show you outside the park or give you a view of anything to take you out of but it's pretty amazing.
And go ride the boats. Go ride Mark Twain. Go ride the pirate ship. Like a lot of people, like you said, they're just like busy, going at the park. Take the moments that they've given you to slow down a little bit, which is the treehouse. And I've been in the treehouse before, and people are just trying to rush through there, and they're like pushing everybody forward. Take a breath.
Oh no, we
slow
move
down.
aside.
Like, right, but some people are like pushing, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, slow down. It is not a race. Like you have time, see everything, look at the details that are there, and then take a breath and go get on one of the boats. Yeah. Just like my favorite thing to do at Disneyland is just to slow down and to watch everything and to look at everything. And I think people are just crazy about, we've spent so much to be here and we only have this many days and we want to do this many things. But sometimes I go and not ride one ride at all, and it's my favorite trip when I do that.
Good.
I
watching opportunity.
That's a whole different episode of how to do Disney, right?
And we're in that episode because there's so many new things coming up. I did so much of nothing last time at Disneyland. I didn't even get to see the Encanto thing. So I need to see the Encanto show the next time I go. Speaking of the next time I go, I will be running a 10K with our friends at Movies That Make Us. I have never done the Disney run before. I have watched other people run at Disneyland while I ate food on the sideline and said, hey.
Which will probably be me this time.
Yeah, sounds like you had the best plan.
I told Sammy, you and Sammy and Dave and Jake's kids, it is your job to meet us at the finish line with beignets and drinks, because I am running to get to that warm beignet. So it better be there.
I know we're going to move on to MPower soon. I just wanted to bring up something. If Disney is going to continue on this reboot, let's redo all this other stuff. I feel like this is a movie that's worth rebooting with today's technology and things that we have. How How do you guys feel if we were to get a Swiss Family Robinson announcement?
I don't know that I want it because after watching it again and not seeing it for so long, I don't think they could recapture the same feeling that they captured in the first movie. In the 1960s version of the movie, there was something so powerful about the innocence and the happiness, and just like it made me feel really, even the parts like kind of made me cringy because, that's not what we portray in film anymore. I grew up with it, so it didn't bother me as much because I just know that it's not the way it is. But I don't know. I think Hollywood's in such a different place right now that I don't know that they could replicate the feeling that I think everyone should feel watching this movie. That's just me though. I don't know. I just think it would be a totally different movie, which is fine. It would be more action. It would be faster paced. It would be, this thing that I don't know.
I think if they did a tie-in, I don't think they could do a remake. I don't think they should even try. But if they did a tie-in somehow where there was a story spun off from it or something, but
Back to the Island.
Yeah. I don't, because at the end it seemed like they were going to stay there and he was going to be the governor and it was going to be called. So whether it was the same island or a different island or for some reason, I don't know. It would have to be a spinoff. I really don't want them to remake it because I agree with Val. I don't think they'd be able to do it. I think they would mess it up.
See, and I have a little bit of a different opinion. If they were to announce it, I would be welcome to it. I think it would have a Pete's
He's
Dragon
always got to
effect.
oppose, doesn't he?
That's why we're on the same.
You have
that's
no
why we're on the
idea.
show together. Because
You have
we
not
don't
watched
agree,
enough
which is a
episodes to know
better
this.
conversation.
But it would have like a Pete's Dragon effect because I just rewatched the Pete's Dragon reboot.
Yeah, and I did like that. So,
And that's what I'm saying. It's not the same as the original. They're both Pete's Dragon,
yeah.
but they both have a very unique, different way of telling essentially the same story.
I think if they did it that way, or they did it the way that they did Cinderella, I don't want
Frame, not a frame for frame.
I don't want
Exactly.
a frame for frame. I don't want the same feel. Give me Swiss Family Robinson, but give me a different movie, but the same basic idea. Because actually during this time when this movie came out, there were so many movies of people stranded on islands. Like for that like a 10-year period, there were like, Blue Lagoon and this movie, and there was like like a pirate movie, I can't think of it right now, where they were stuck. And so I feel like if they did a little bit of what you said, Ty, and a little bit of what you said, Jacob, like maybe it's, so you had the family and they lived there and they became this thing, and maybe a grandson or somebody left.
Yeah.
And then it was almost like a national treasure thing, in that now you're a couple generations out and somebody's going back to the island to learn about their lineage that they've been, and to find this family something.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of what we love about Swiss Family Robinson and this, whoever it is that goes back, learning how great it is to be in the wild and to be away from, big towns, but also maybe it leads to something else and connects something else. I just don't want a frame for frame.
So, I was like, I have a few directors who I said I want, because I feel like they could take this in the right direction. I want either David Lowery, who did the Pete's Dragon reboot, Gore Verbinski, who did Curse of the Black Pearl, because I think he could bring that really cool, adventurous, piratey vibe to it. Or who else did I have? Jamie Collette Sierra, the one who did Jungle Cruise.
Oh, okay.
Any three of those directors I would want to see do a reboot or a sequel, prequel, whatever it would be. But sounds like you guys might have some better grades for this movie than I do.
This is my childhood, Ty.
Yeah, it's since I was really
No, that's
really
fine. Trust me, I've given better grades to movies that you guys and some of the people on some of our other shows would laugh at me for. So let's go ahead and start, Val, so we can move on to the next sequence of the show. What are you going to grade this?
This one's a solid B for me. Like, I feel like it's fun. I do think that if you sat down with your kids or grandkids to watch this movie, there's enough for them to watch, that they would stay, glued to the screen, because it does have really good visuals, but it also is really good pacing, where I think a lot of older movies relevant to what kids are watching now, they would just get bored and walk away. I think this, would keep their attention, and you'd probably have to take them outside after the movie, or build like a pillow fort or something fun that you should be doing anyway. And so I think it stands the test of time. You definitely can tell it wasn't made now, but it's not one that you would turn off and be like, oof.
Jake, what would you grade this one?
Okay, I need to understand the scale better. Is there an A plus, or is
Yes.
there?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
from an F.
Okay,
to an
You
give me
A+.
can
example.
you can also say it's like it's you, because our A's, mine and Ty's A's are different. So in your mind, an A plus is the best movie you've ever seen in your life. You watch it
Okay.
over and over and over. You think
Okay.
everyone should watch it. And then an F is like, this shouldn't have even been made. We need to go burn it and stomp on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That gives me a little bit of a clue, because I'm like, okay, do we look at like Citizen Kane stuff, or do we like?
It's all
But it's all
relevant
fair
to
game.
you.
It's all
Okay, just for me. So this one's probably an A minus, probably. It's a classic, and like I said, it was all the stuff and hopes and dreams of boyhood that I had, and I still love it every time I watch it. And I've got to be able to go. I went and was able to live in South America for a couple of years, where I got to swing from the vines and do some of those things that I'd always dreamed of from this movie. So this one's definitely, I think, is Disney, like you said, Ty. It's a foundational must watch if you're a Disney fan at all. So yeah, solid A minus.
So I would watch this, every now and again. This isn't one that I'm constantly going to be like, oh, Swiss Family Robinson, let's go. I'm going to give this one a C plus.
Wow. You picked
Ooh.
this.
And I did,
You
and I
picked
enjoy it. But on the list, trust me, the list where
But
it
a
ranks,
C
I'm
plus,
like,
it's not even a B minus. It's not even in the B's.
no, because there's a few things I have wrong with it. Like,
Well, yeah, there's a ton of crap I have wrong with it, but a C? Wow.
I'm gonna
Did you
give
see
it
the
a
snake?
C.
Did you see the snake? That snake scene was nuts.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll stick with it. I'll give it a C. Maybe if we come back after I have some time to reflect and be like, okay, maybe this could have been, I could have done it better, but I'm gonna stick with a C on this one.
Cool. All right. I had a chance to watch all the episodes of a new Marvel series on Disney Plus called MPower. I don't know if either of you had a chance to look at it yet.
Not yet.
It just started streaming this last week because it was International Women's Day. And so basically this series, it's a short series, goes through all of the amazing women in the Marvel cinematic universe. And I have to say, Ty, so the episodes are really cool, but one of the episodes really made me a bigger fan of Wanda. So I know that we have had this conversation before. When I watched WandaVision, I struggled. If you guys listen to any of those episodes, you know that I just kind of struggled with like getting into it. And then I would come on the show and then Ty would tell us like all of the Easter eggs of WandaVision. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I understand this. So I like this more. But I literally needed like a side tutorial from Ty to really get into it as it went on. And I've grown to appreciate it more over the last year. I didn't hate it. It's just not one that I'm going to go back to. And I didn't think it was overwhelmingly amazing. But I liked where it led us in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And one of the episodes is all about Wanda and WandaVision and the characters from WandaVision and how Wanda's character plays such a big part in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we
still
really
well.
What?
And she's still well.
Yes, and she's not going away anytime soon.
She's not gone.
And so, but what I really loved about her episode, before we get into the Women of Wakanda, which is still what I think they should have called the episode and that movie, is they get into the point of breaking down how they broke down this series into different stages of grief. And like the first 3 episodes, which I know are of WandaVision, that I know a lot of people have a hard time with because it's so far removed from everything, is her time of denial. Those 3 episodes represent denial.
Yep.
And then you get into the episodes where they represent her depression. And they actually brought in a psychiatrist to the writer's room as they were going through writing this whole series, and talked about, you know, what mental illness is, what depression means, what all of the different phases of loss are. Because Wanda has gone through so much loss. You know, she lost her parents, she lost her brother, she lost Vision, and then she lost her kids that she created because she was trying to to shut down all the other loss that she had. And it was just really powerful to see how much, I mean, I know they put so much detail into all of these shows, and that's why I'm a huge fan of Disney and Marvel, but to really break that down, how they did that and how they're moving forward with it, because everyone that worked on that series is so into making sure that people can talk about mental health and mental well-being and depression, and making that a part of a conversation. And if you listen to the show, you know that's important to me as well. And so I just thought that was really cool. So if you have a chance to watch these episodes, you can. But the women of Wakanda, oh man, I am going to South Africa a week from tomorrow. And there was so much in this episode that is making me even more excited to go to South Africa, because the language that they speak is South African. And one of the producers and editors on the movie is from South Africa. And they sent a whole production team out there with their costume designer, who won the Academy Award, and their production designer, which was the first African-American woman to be nominated and win Academy Award. And she won it for this movie. And it kind of shows a little bit more than what you've seen in like the making of Wakanda on how these things come together. Yeah. And they get into each of the actresses' backstories as well, which is really cool. So about their character, but then also who they are as a person.
Well, can I tell you that had we got anyone else but Shuri becoming the Black Panther, it wouldn't have worked. I'm telling you right now, from someone who, like Val says, goes into the content from where they pull this from. Had we got anyone else at this point besides his sister becoming the Black Panther, I don't think it would work very well moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing her to the forefront, and you guys can listen to some of our past shows where we said, okay, is Killmonger coming back? Is he sitting in a vat
Killmonger to
somewhere?
come back?
And I still think he will. I still 100% know. Even though, from what spoilers, guys, if you haven't seen Wakanda Forever, you've kind of had enough time to see it. Even from where we have him just sitting in the spirit realm, there are entities and different things coming up that would allow him to come back in full force.
I think he hasn't gone anywhere. He's like sitting in this holding zone
in limbo.
And he is, oh my gosh, he's like one of my favorite villains. And I hated that they just threw him away because they weren't sure if they were going to ever make a Black Panther movie again. And I just want him back for it, because Killmonger's awesome, but also Michael B. Jordan.
I don't even think it'll be the cop out of, it's a different Killmonger from universe this. I think no, we have ways to bring back Killmonger of 616 to jump back in, but still
they need to keep this director though, because I went into this movie having no idea how they were going to do this, and I was afraid. But they did it, especially the women in the movie. Holy cow, I cried. I don't know how many times you guys cried during that movie.
I've seen it 3 times and I cry every time.
I've seen it 3 times, and it's every
powerful.
time.
The music is powerful. The characters are powerful. But if you are a fan of that right now on Disney Plus, you can watch the women of Black Panther, and it makes it even more, those moments even more powerful, because now I want to go back and watch both movies again, because they talk about where these characters come from and how important they are. And they bring in people that are also, regular Joes, but really, I mean, like one lady works at NASA, and there's a guy who's an engineer, and both of his daughters they all love Shuri, because her character is so eye-opening, for being a woman and then being a scientist and being into all of these things, but then also going through this tremendous loss, and then actually talking about the original comic books and how, I mean, it was actually pimps and hoes. It wasn't safe for kids, really. But changing those and saying, you know what, these women warriors can't be wearing those clothes. They need to be wearing, and they would talk to each other. It wasn't one person saying, these are what the costumes were. The costumer, she sat with, these warriors, these actresses, and they, had to move around, and they wanted to make sure that it all made sense. And even the editor, from Wakanda, if you remember, when all the women warriors from the first movie are trapped, right, in that barrier, and then all the men come in. Originally, it was supposed to be this men saving the women. And they went to Ryan Coogler, the female editor went to Ryan Coogler, and she said, everything that we've made this movie about, all you just did, and so they created a woman warrior that's with that clan, and she breaks through all of them and breaks through that. She's the first one in, because they're like, and they actually went back and did reshots to reshoot make sure the representation that they have built up to this point was through the entire movie. And I think just that is so important, because you could be, I'm just going to throw this out there, on a DC film, and they'd be like, whatever, we shot it. We're going with it.
We're not paying for
Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah. But, the fact that they are willing to go back now and say, we're going to reshoot this because this is important. What we've created is important, and we need to stick with it. But that's the first episode. Like right out of the gate, they have the women of Black Panther, and then it goes into Captain Marvel, which Captain Marvel for me is, I like it. I think it's fine. I don't ever have an itch to go back and watch it over and over, but if it's on, I will watch it. But I really love Brie Larson and what she brought to the character, but actually watching this, because if you watch our show, you know that Ty, and it seems like Jacob, are probably more of the comic book readers. I am not a comic book reader, so everything I know about these characters are about what I see in the movie. And so this episode, getting to know who Miss Marvel is, and then how it actually turned to Captain Marvel, and how they actually let Brie Larson have a say in what she wore on set, because Captain Marvel's, I did know what she looked like in the comic books.
Classic outfit.
I have a lot of cosplay friends that dress like her original outfit. But just how she then also became a mentor to her younger counterpart in the movie, that's the daughter to her best friend.
Oh, yeah.
She actually mentored her and has really stayed to help her. And that seems like almost all of that, because then you jump to the Guardians of the Galaxy episode. It's the one after. So it goes Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, and then you get Gamora. And when you jump into Gamora's episode, which is the final episode, you get both of those the two females in Guardians of the Galaxy are actually really good friends outside of the show. And they mentored each other, because what's the name of, I can't remember the name of the other actress, and she's actually been here in Utah, because we have Zoe, but then we have her sister in the movie,
Nebula.
But what's Nebula's? Karen Gillian. Karen Gillian, she became Nebula, and she had never done any martial arts in her life, right? And now you've got Zoe, who Zoe in almost every movie that she's ever done has been physical.
Yeah.
And she knows all these things. And so Zoe was actually helping her with all of her martial arts. And then as she would get cast in other movies, she would actually help her out. So it just feels like all of these women from all of these Marvel movies, Marvel series outside of the show are actually helping each other, which I'm a woman and I've grown up with other women, and that's not always the case. So MPower really kind of like empowered me a little bit by watching this, because it breaks down who they are on screen, who they are off screen, all the details that went behind making these women powerful, And it gets into what's coming in a lot of the episodes, is like what's coming next, because we have Echo, we have the Marvels that are coming out.
I was about to say, was there an episode on Kamala?
No, we don't
No.
have one that's specifically Kamala.
So
Is it going to keep going? Are they going to keep adding episodes, or is it?
But what I know so far is that I think it's just Gamora after the Gamora. I think this was like the classic, like original MCU.
True.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm sure maybe it's going to be something they do every year and they just keep, going with it. But this was kind of like our classic first phases of women, but they didn't really get into Black Widow. But I think we've seen a lot on Black Widow, because they've had makings of that and everything.
Yeah.
But I would have liked them to get into a little bit more of her character, because she is one of my favorites. I know she's not a lot of people's favorites, but I do like her character. But yeah, so again, it's something you can watch free from home. It's on Disney Plus right now. I watched them all back to back and I really enjoyed it. You don't have to do it that way.
So just going back a little bit to you, one of my favorite scenes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is when the Dora Milaje show up.
Yes.
And they just kind of kick back and watch him fight American Agent, and they're just kicking his butt, and they're like not even super powered, and Bucky's just standing back there just going, looking strong, John, as they as they basically beat the crap out of him. It's awesome. And then if you've ever been in Avengers Campus when those guys roll out,
so cool.
Oh my gosh, you get chills as they come walking out. You're like, holy cow, these guys, they're amazing.
And I don't want to give away all of the fun stuff that I learned by watching these shows, but they really get into that and into how those warriors work. Like they do a whole section on the warriors before they break down each individual warrior. And there's some kind of like, there was one specific character that was only supposed to be in this one movie with one of my favorite lines ever. You need to move or I will move you. And if you remember that line, and she's looking right at, Black Widow. And that character was only supposed to be in that one movie with that one line. And she was so powerful that they made her the second, like, biggest warrior. And they kind of go into her story and everything. And it shows you how they figure out which tattoos go on which heads. And it gets into the makeup and the costuming and how Shuri pretty much has her hand on everything. If you think about everything in Wakanda, almost all of it comes from Shuri's little, room that she creates everything. And you will get to see Chadwick Boseman. He's in there. So he's in a lot of the scenes that they go back and forth with. And if you're going to watch the Academy Awards tonight, we have a couple of nominations from Wakanda Forever. So we'll see. I don't know that any of them are going to win anything, but it got nominated. And Black Panther was the first Marvel movie to get nominated for Best Picture. So when it came out 2 years ago.
Demon. Well, I'm going to have to go give this a watch, especially the Wanda episode now. That's probably going to be my go-to.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like I'm like, oh great, now I have to tell Ty that I like it even more.
You're welcome.
Well, that's all we have for you right now, but we will be back next week. And then I think Jacob and Ty are going to do a couple shows without me while I'm gone, because I'm going to go to Wakanda. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Watching Swiss Family Robinson and then just thinking that like I'm going to be out like in there. I'm just like, I don't want to see a zebra that's stuck in the mud. That's like, I don't want to see that in real life.
Watch the hyenas, or hey, it'll be like Jungle Cruise. You have the lion scene. They're all playing with the zebra.
Yeah, I don't want to see it in real life. I want to see all the happiness. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And of course, we love your comments. So make sure you comment below. We're live on YouTube right now on our Facebook page. But stay tuned because we'll have another show next week. If there's a show, a Disney show, a Disney movie, a Disney ride, anything that you want us to talk about, it can even be comic book related as long as it's in Marvel, Disney, Lucasfilms. if it's in the Disney realm, we will talk about it. Just let us know by commenting, and subscribe, please, to our channel so that you can see every time we're live. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.